I am so glad you are joining me today to answer the question, what do you have? Because I think it's an important question, one that Jesus asks us and we miss it sometimes. So I would love for you to read along with me and begin to unpack this idea of what do I have? I'm going to start in Mark chapter 6. This is a story when Jesus has been teaching. It's been a long day and he knows the crowd is hungry. And it reads, late in the afternoon, his disciples came to him and said, this is a remote place. It's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to nearby farms and villages and buy something to eat. But Jesus said, you feed them. With what? They asked. We'd have to work for months to earn enough money to buy food for all these people. How much bread do you have? He asked. Go and find out. In this scripture, Jesus gives his disciples what appears to be a simple command. Feed the people. It's very straightforward. And they panic because in their minds, it's an overwhelming task. There are thousands of people here. We cannot possibly do that with the resources we had. And they literally look at him and go, what? Are you crazy? How could we possibly do that? What are you asking? And I think it's interesting that Jesus doesn't really condemn them. He refocuses them. He gives them a reality check and he asks them, how much bread do you have? Or in the phraseology of what we're doing today, what do you have? And I think God asks us that sometimes and we jump to the panic question. I know when I was very first starting to attend the church I now attend, I was still using my wheelchair and I felt like God said, Hannah, it's time for you to go join a women's group. And I went, what? Are you crazy? I barely have enough energy to get through the day. I barely have enough energy to shop for my groceries on the weekend. There was no way I could give up another night and go to church and stay sane and stay healthy. You don't know what you're asking. And I feel like God ultimately refocused me and said, what do you have? And I had to be honest and say, well, I have the evening free. I have a car. On that particular night, I will probably have enough energy to at least get to the church, park, and get inside. I can't guarantee I would have any more energy for the rest of the week, but I would have that. And I think sometimes when we go to the what, we forget that it's Jesus who does the multiplying. It's Jesus who does the miraculous. All we can see is the lack of resources. And so I love what happens in this story ultimately, that once the disciples come back and say, hey, we have 5 loaves and 2 fish. And probably they're saying on the side, and he's still nuts. There's no way this will work. But if we pick back up the story, it says Jesus took the 5 loaves, the 2 fish, he looked up toward heaven and blessed them. Then breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread to the disciples so they could distribute it to the people. He also divided the fish for everyone to share. They all ate as much as they wanted, and afterward, the disciples picked up 12 baskets full of leftover bread and fish. A total of 5,000 men and their families were fed from those loaves. And you know, in the same way, God was faithful to me. All I had was enough energy to get to the church for that group. I didn't really have any expectation beyond that. And yet, for however long that lasted, it was a 2 to 3 month deal. I didn't miss a single session. I made it to work the rest of the week. And I was able to participate and grow and begin to form relationships with other women, which I really needed that at that time. But if you had asked me in the natural, could I do that? I would have said no. Which is why God didn't ask me, can you attend a women's group? He said, Hannah, what do you have? And then I just had to trust him to be the multiplier, to be the one who did the supernatural, to be the one who stretched my resources beyond a way I felt I would be able to stretch them. And so I would encourage you, if that's you today and you say, I don't have anything, God is asking you, what do you have, no matter how small? Because He is the one who can take that and multiply it.